between Facebook and our government and President Duterte mismo. Dahil hindi natin malaman kung anong totoong dahilan ng Facebook, pero tinake down, kinansela, sinara, or take down sa English ang mga 30 sites ba or 50 sites, I don't know how many. We'll take a look at that report, because ayun, 57 accounts, 31 pages, and 20 Instagram accounts naman. Yung Instagram naman, linked daw to the police and military for coordinated inauthentic behavior. Pero alam natin lahat, ang Facebook nasa isang American company at nakalocate siya sa Estados Unidos. At nakita na rin natin kung paano i-pressure ni Trump dahil ang Facebook din nagagamit ng Democratic Party at ng mga kritiko ni Trump. Si Trump gumagante at binantaan ng Facebook na gagawin siya ng paraan para gipitin ng Facebook kung hindi gawin ng Facebook ganito, ganoon. So it's also subject to a lot of pressure. But at the same time, hindi ko maiwasan na maisip talaga na ito'y nagiging instrumento ng US geopolitics and politics. Ang ebidensya po rito ay malinaw na ginagamit po ang Facebook, Twitter at ibang mga American social media vehicles. Tingnan lang po ninyo yung si Edward Snowden na dating isang engineer at technical man sa US intelligence, dahil nakita niya yung mass surveillance na ginagawa ng US intelligence doon gamit itong mga social media na sa tingin niya ay labag sa American Constitution, privacy of information and so on. Binulgar niya through WikiLeaks naman. Si Edward Snowden ngayon ay naka-asylum, sort of asylum sa Russia. And doon sa WikiLeaks naman na siyang nagbulgar at nilabas ito sa iba't ibang mga websites at mga dyaryo, si Julian Assange na tatag nung WikiLeaks, leak yung singaw, yung tulo, leak, yung nilileak yung mga impormasyon ng US government sa labas dahil nga ang US government sa tingin nitong mga freedom lovers, Edward Assange, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, lumalabag sa human rights. Although, lagi nating narinig na ang Amerika ang siyang nag-aakusa sa iba sa paglalabag ng human rights. Dito, sa ginawa ng Facebook dito sa Pilipinas, batay sa sumbong daw ng mga fact-checkers. Ang mga fact-checkers ng Facebook dito sa Pilipinas, itong si Maria Reza at ang Rappler, at yung si Ellen Tordesillas, na kilalang-kilala ko, at parehong mga tumatanggap po ito ng malalaking mga halaga na dolyares galing sa mga NGOs na mga fronts lang, frente ng US interests, I will say government or politics, but to be more general about it, interest lang, sabihin natin. So, now, isang nadali na site or page or yung ginagawa sa Facebook ng mga magulang, ng mga ina na pinoprotesta yung recruitment ng mga anak nila mula sa mga paaralan, PUP, University of the Philippines, doon sa southern provinces, maraming nare-recruit din ng NPA at ng CPP. Ito po yung HOOC. Anong ibig sabihin ng HOOC? Basta itong mga mamaya, tingnan ko, babasahin ko po rito. Anyway, yung unang image natin, yung nasa screen po ninyo, yung bumanat na si Duterte. Pero Matthew, pakibalik doon sa unang image, si Relisa Santos Lucena, meron ditong any desk, Do I have to do anything here, Matt? Accept. I have to accept, Okay. in-accept ko na, no? So pwede nang pumasok si Matt dito sa computer ko. 'Yun ang ibig sabihin po noon, ano. So ginagawa na ni Matt yung yung pag aayos. Anyway, itong si Relisa Santos Lucena, sabi, Facebook, pinatahimik nyo kami upang hindi maapektuhan ang mga taong gusto nyong protektahan. Sino yung mga yan? Eh di, yung mga pulahan, yung mga komunista, yung mga nagre-recruit sa HOOC. Mamaya matatandaan ko ang kahulugan ng HOOC, no? And habang kami gusto lang namin makuha ng buhay ang aming mga anak na napunta sa organisasyon nila, ano? And I'm trying to remember for a moment via Zoom, ano? Yung ibang mga leader. I'll take a look at my dito sa aking mga text kasi nag-text po sa akin para lang malinaw na malinaw, ano? Ito po, let me see, HOOC, wala. Yung kausap ko kanina, si Gemma, ano? Mrs. Gemma. And then, let me see, dito naman sa isang text sa akin, baka makita ko. Well, hindi ko pa makita yung kahulugan ng HOOC. Let me try to search for it, ano? So ayan po, nadali din itong site ng HOOC, itong mga ina ng mga bata na nire-recruit ng NPA at inihiwalay sa pamilya itong mga bata. Kaya po, the next image po natin, bumanat na si Presidente Duterte sa Facebook. Sabi dito sa ulat, CNN nga ang ginamit ko para makita natin, na itong CNN din kasi owned by or partly owned by Warner, Warner Media, which is an American company also. Lagi pong naglalabas po ito ng mga impormasyon at balita mula sa perspektibo ng Amerikano. Pero siyempre, pag magsalita si Presidente, mapipilitan sila maglabas niyan. Sabi ni Presidente Duterte, you cannot lay down a policy for my government. Kaming diktahan. Pati yung AFP na lehitimong website ng AFP, tinake down. Sa aking palagay, dinahilan na lang ng Facebook, na ito'y i-take down at nilagyan ng iba't ibang mga pwedeng pagsuspecha ng mga sites. Pero sa totoo lang, matagal ko nang pinaninindigan ito na ang Facebook hindi dapat po pumayag ng walang yung anonymous account na walang litrato, walang totoong pamilya, kung ano-anong mga pangalang nilalagay, at tinatago talaga ang identity. Hindi dapat po yan eh. Kung may pananaw ang isang tao, panindigan niya. Ay sobrang sangkatutak talaga. Milyong-milyon ng mga troll mula sa lahat ng mga panig. Dahil siyempre, ang mga Amerikano gumagamit ng troll, ang budget po ng Pentagon sa mga trolls nila ay daan-daang milyong dolyares. Di siyempre, sasagot din ng Russia, meron din silang gagawin ganyan, meron din ng China, puro maraming troll po. Ako, hindi po ako gumamit ng anonymous except once. Kasi nga, binaban ako paulit-ulit. Kababan lang sa akin ng Facebook eh. 17 days itong huli. Dati, isang buwan, ilang beses na po yan. Nakikita ko naman yung mga bastos na mga pro-American, mga troll na walang pangalan, walang saysay naman ang pinopost na komentaryo. Tuloy-tuloy naman sila at hindi na bla-bla. Merong mga Pilipino sa Amerika naman na sundalo sa American military, maninira ng Pilipinas dyan sa Facebook, hindi naman sinasara. So, maging maingat po tayo dito sa Facebook. And dito sa mga nakarang araw na nagkakaroon ako ng diskusyon dito, at kanina po sa meeting with the Undersecretary Badoy ng PCOO, Presidential Commission on Communication Office, no? Kasama si Assistant Secretary Joel Edco at iba pa, at itong mga ina, ano, sabi ko, dapat siguro tayong mga Pilipinong mga marunong, yung mga techie, ay gumawa na ng isang Pilipinong Facebook. Total, tayo ay 110 million Filipinos at milyon-milyon po ang mga kababayan natin na nakakalat sa buong mundo. Meron na tayong isang global community. Ano? So, pinag-usapan namin at pag-usapan pa namin yung mga detalyado na mga plano. Now, may nag-inform sa akin, sa Facebook din, nag-comment, Ka Mentong, meron na dati na tayo niyan, yung Friendster. Pero tinake over ng isang Malaysian group at namatay na yung Friendster, nawala na. Ano? And meron daw Big Kiss. Mamaya, ida-download ko po yung Big Kiss at titingnan ko po. So, let's do our own, ano, for our fellow Filipinos and the friends of Filipinos all over the world. Si Inday Valentine, po natin, good evening daw. Si Rafael Alahan, good evening, comments. And Kaado, well, Kaado maybe next week. Busy po lately si Kaado, no? Watching from Cainta, si Rafael, si Rafi, you know? Alvin Ariola, good evening po. And good evening to you, Florence. Eknerol from, I think, you are in Europe, di ba, Miss Madame Eknerol, no? And Carlos Andalio Aniago, more power po, Ka Mentong, sabi dito. And then let's move on dito sa ano, si Giancarlo Iway, magandang gabi bayan, sabi niya, every night, every time. Yan po ang bati niya. From Antonio Miguel Carlos, good evening po, Ka Mentong, and good evening, Tony, you know. From Brian Jerome Pineda, makialam at maging maalam and dismiss disinformation. Okay. A regular message din yan ni Brian. Bogs Nicolas, hands off our children. Tama, hands off our children. Thank you, Bogs. Ano? Alam po ninyo, hindi naman siguro senior moment, but alam, pagka bumubuhos po ang mga nice nating tandaan, merong iba nag-freeze. So thank you, Bogs. Ano? So, hands off our children. Huwag niyong galawin ang mga, yan ang panawagan nito ng mga ina. Talagang hindi naman po maganda ang ginagawa ng CPP, NPA. Hindi po totoo yung mga layunin nila. Power grabbers lang yan na nagpapagamit sa kanluran, mga pwersa ng kanluran, na hindi naman sila pananaluhin, lalaruin sila para kung sino mang gobyerno po natin, except yung mga suportado ng Amerikano, na ibibitin-bitin din sila. Yan ang mga dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng party list election after EDSA 2. Yan po dahil din sa mga manipulasyon po ng mga elemento ng Western powers batay sa human rights. Kasi maraming pumapasok dyan na mga kaalyado ng mga human rights campaigners na yan. Ano? Yung apat na partido ng kaliwa, ng komunista, NPA, France, si Sarate, ano, na ngayon hinaharangan ang budget po ng PCOO dahil nga ina-identify sila ng PCOO, Communications Office, no, na mga komunista. Totoo naman sila Sarate, mga komunista. Hindi ko lang nasama po yung isang larawan na naka-apat na hilera po sila, mga komunista. Sama-sama po, kasama si Sarate. Ano? Naglolokohan lang po tayo pagka pinapayagan yan na gamitin ang ating legal na struktura bilang suporta, bilang cover, bilang taguan na mga gawain ng CPP at NPA. Ano? And habang nandidiyan po itong destabilization na to, hindi po magkakaroon ng katahimikan ng bayan para magkaroon ng economic take-off. Ano? Ang Malaysia, mas matatag ang kanilang pamahalaan, although nagkakaroon ng medyo mabuhay na sila ngayon dahil nga yung intra-party, intra-class competition, no, ng mga naghaharing uri. No? Pero inuubos ng mga British ang komunista. In-stabilize talaga. Ubos ang komunista doon. Wala na ngayon. But they had one of the strongest communist movements in Asia before. Inubos. Dito, paano mauubos? Nung si Cory umupo bilang presidente, pinalaya itong si Joma na hindi naman nanatili sa pagsasalamat, tumulong sa bayan, nag-eskapo kaagad at kinanlong ng kanluran Western power sa Europa. Kaya hindi ba napaka-obvious lahat yan? Nagtatanga-tangahan pa yung mga higit kulang-kulang 300 miyembro ng Kongreso o higit na sila 300. Hindi ko na nasusubaybay yung mga itong mga party list na komunista, totoong mga komunista yan. Pag sila tinutukoy sila ng PCO at ni Undersecretary Badoy na mga komunista yan, hindi yan red baiting, talagang mga reds yan. Alam ng military din yan. Alam ko rin bilang dating aktivista rin. Nakilala ko itong mga to. Kilala ko ang mga taktika at strategiya ang ginagamit nila. Ibig mo sabihin, hindi kilala ng ating kabinete na ito yung mga nagtatagong komunista. Alam din nila. Anong nagpipigil na supilin itong mga to? Well, maraming practical na konsiderasyon sa diplomasya and so on. Kahit noon naman nung sila Normiswari, nagre-rebelde na sa gobyerno inaalagaan pa rin ng mga Amerikano yung mga rebeldeng yun through various means and various channels, tulad halimbawa ng pagtatanggi na suplayan ang ating gobyerno nung panahon ni Marcos ng mga bala at mga armas dahil daw magagalit ang Organization of Islamic Conference. Ayun, dilusot ang mga Amerikano. Kawawa ang Pilipinas, kawawa ang Pilipino. And so, we have to be in-depth and sophisticated in analyzing these things. No? Antonio Miguel Carlos, good evening. Tapos na po, Bogs. And Medi Balucas is with us again this evening. Good evening, Ka Mentong. And Antonio Miguel Carlos, sabi niya, tama po kayo, Ka Mentong, maraming troll ang US minsan, ang pangalang Indiano, ang gamit nila para siraan ang China. Katakot-takot po talaga. Hindi magkakaroon ng matinong usapan sa Facebook. Kung hindi po talagang totoong mga pangalan ng inilalabas. Well, anyway, ako ay sumali na rin sa BK, yung social media ng Russia. Pero kaya natin gumawa ng sarili. May bilang tayo ng mga mamamayan sa buong mundo na Pilipino na siyang magtatangkilik niyan, and let's see if we can encourage some of the techies to start one. From Singapore, si Florence Eknero, nasa Singapore po. Okay, and dito sa Power Things, we will take a look later. Mga comments dito, meron na. Si Isko Antonio, Ka Mentong, good evening. Once again, si Claire Amador pala, yung manager ng FB, ay sekretary ni Butch Abad. Butch Abad ba o Abaya? Butch Abad ba yan? Abayang nakasulat dito. Anyway, at consultant ni Lenny, kaya bias pinili yung Rappler at Vera files upang ligpitin yung DDS. Yan naman pala. Salamat po sa impormasyon mo, Isko. Halata na, di ba ngayon? Konektado yan. Magagaling po yung mga Western powers sa pag-iintriga at paglilito sa mga Asyano. At kaya ako naninindigan po, and salamat po yung iba, karamihan sa inyo naintindihan at na-appreciate po na sinusuportahan ko ang China at lahat ng mga Asian countries. At siyempre tayo, dahil actually meron pong plano ang Western powers kung tayo kanilang magawa na magkawatak-watak ulit ang mga Asians, gagawa sila ng giyera. Siyempre, sa sentro nila sa Asia, sa China, kasi yan ang haligi ng Asia. Yun ang lagi nating pinapaliwanag. Na ginugulo naman nila Carpio yung mensahe ni Presidente Duterte na magkasama-sama tayo dito sa Asia. Sama-sama din tayo uunlad, kasama doon sa unlad ng China. Na isang magandang sistema dahil kanilang talagang inaalagaan ng kanilang mamamayan na bilyon po mamamayan at mangungonsumo yan, saan sila maghahanap ng mga prutas, pagkain, talento sa engineering, tayo. And so on. Marami pong mapapag-usapan dyan. From Alfred Gingab, tama ba po ang pronunciation ko? Hands off our children. Thank you, Alfredo. Your memory is better than mine. Si Mark Lenatona mukhang nagse-celebrate na ang mga mangmang na dilawan nung sinabi ni Presidente na magre-resign siya. Yung mga mangmang talaga na dilawan, hindi naintindihan si Presidente Duterte. Both, hindi maintindihan yung emotion niya, yung pananalita niya, yung bukas bibig ba, is that the right word? Yung openness niya, na kung anong nasa damdamin at the moment na binibigkas ni Presidente. Pero hindi naman yung talagang ibig niya sabihin. Para bigyan lang niya ng diin yung sakit ng loob niya doon sa corruption. Sabi, gusto ko nga mag-resign. Para mabatid ng mamamayan. Ganyang kasakit sa kanya yung corruption. Siyempre itong mga dilawan, ibang naisa, mag-resign na, kailangan itulak natin na mag-resign yan. Tama ka, Mark, no? Mga mangmang na dilawan. From Ken Fernandez. Okay nga po ang Big Kiss, parang FB din. Ayan, bibisita na ako at mag-member ako sa Big Kiss. Baka pwede na nating pagsamahan po lahat, tayong lahat dyan. No? Okay, so let's move on. No? And so, hindi lang po Pilipinas ang nadidisgusto na sa FB. Dahil ang Facebook, kung sino-sinong gusto nilang i-domineer at pakialaman. Kasi nga instrumento sila. Isa sa mga instrumento sila doon sa panggugulo po sa Asia, pangyayanig ng mga gobyerno po natin. Yun ang gusto nilang palabasin. Yung ibang mga gobyerno, tulad ni Presidente ngayon, Duterte ngayon, hindi na po papayag dyan. Ang Thailand po, dito nga sa, from TechWire, techie website, ang headline po rito, Thailand declares war on Facebook and Twitter. At sinabi ng Thailand, ite-take down namin kayo pag hindi nyo ayusin po ito. No? Thailand is taking a firm stance on the content it wants blocked from being viewed in the country by filing the complaints directly against the US parent company of Facebook and Twitter and not their Thai subsidiaries. Diretso nilang asunto nila doon sa Amerika. And not their Thai subsidiaries. Facebook is the undisputed most popular social media platform in the kingdom and has been so many years. Pero alam po ninyo, pag yung populasyon ng Thailand mawala sa Facebook, tayo, 110 million, sooner or later sa Indonesia mangyayari din yan. Ang laki pong mawawala na tubo at kita ng Facebook. Kaya may poder po tayo. Liban po dyan, yung kung ma-develop natin ng Big Kiss o iba pang mga social media Pinoy, magagawa pa rin natin itong ginagawa natin ngayon sa Facebook, pero dito na sa sariling atin. And hindi lang po Thailand at Pilipinas ang diskustado. Meron akong na-miss dito. Bakit parang may tumalon ba? Yung Singapore. Wala ba dyan? Hindi nasama, pero doon sa aking ibang na-prepare, meron po ang Singapore. Let me check, no? Doon sa isang, ito po, hindi nasama talaga. Pasensya na po. But ang Singapore po, ganyan din po dahil merong nag-post, na sabi yung election process ng Singapore, madaya, and so on, and so on. Sinabi ng Singapore sa Facebook, shutdown na namin kayo pag hindi nyo ayusin ito. Tanggalin nyo. Ang kompromiso na ginawa ng Facebook, nilagay nila doon ang mensahe ng Singapore government, no, na sinasabi na the Singapore government says this is fake news. Ganyan. Okay din yun, di ba? Pero yung basta nila isa-shutdown yung mga websites ng ating mga Hands of Our Children na mga ina ng ating AFP na lumalaban sa terorismo, hindi pwede yun. Makipag-usap muna sila. At nagkaroon nga ng pag-uusap ang pagmi-meeting ng AFP at ang ating mga taga-PCOO with Facebook. At nagkaroon ng kasunduan na mag-uusap pa at magtutulungan laban sa terorismo. So yan ang kalmado at malamig na reaksyon ng ating Armed Forces of the Philippines at mapipilitan ng Facebook na makiisa sa anti-terror campaign ng gobyerno dahil nasa alituntunin ng Facebook na dapat kalaban din sila ng global terrorism. Tatamaan din ng CPP-NP po doon. So magaling po ang ginawa ng ating Armed Forces of the Philippines. Okay, Benedict Cuenca, good evening po. Ka Mentong, God bless. Okay. And Kevin, thank you again. Napaalala mo yung Big Kiss. I will be checking Big Kiss tomorrow. Okay, and may bagong pumasok ba dito? Pamphilo Anakta, good evening. Ka Mentong, God bless. Okay, and Antonio Miguel Carlos, maraming sundalong British ang namatay laban sa communist insurgents sa Malaysia at Malaysian commandos. Talaga, totoo po yan. That's a correct and good history po ni Antonio Carlos. No? Dahil dinurog talaga nila ang komunista at komunismo sa Malaysia. And okay, so let's move on to our next topic. So, okay, fake news naman ng mga dilawan. Nakita ko po ito sa thread ko. Adrian Lee Sanchez, September 24, nag-post siya. News flash, ang nilagay niyang comment, no? Philippines is holding strong in its number one. Ginawa pa niyang Tagalog yung number one position. Sabi niya, runaway winner tayo sa ASEAN COVID Olympics. Yung paninira na naman sa Pilipinas. So, tinignan ko yung listahan niya. Philippines, 4,999. Mataas, Vietnam, 35. Alam naman natin, Vietnam was very strict, from the very beginning. Thailand, 59, Myanmar, 94. Hindi natin alam yung statistics ng Myanmar, how accurate it is, Malaysia, 130. Yung populasyon ng Malaysia, mas maliit sa atin, And so on, so on. Marami tayong didetaalye dyan, kung bakit may kaibahan. Cambodia, 0. Well, we don't know if their statistics are that accurate. Singapore, 27. Of course, they're much more. Brunei, 3. Maliit din ang populasyon ng Brunei. So, sabi ko, bakit wala ang Indonesia dito? Talagang itong mga troll ng mga dilaw. Deceitful. Manloloko. Kasi sa Indonesia, ang death rate, ay 10,000, ang deaths pa lang, 10,601. Higit sa doble ng Pilipinas. Kaya hindi niya nilagay, mawawalang saysay yung kanyang pinakapuntos na tayo ay number one. Hindi, Indonesia. Dahil malaki din ang populasyon ng Indonesia. Pero sa totoo lang po, yung listahan ng yung statistics ng Indonesia, napakahirap po tanggapin lang basta-basta. Dahil kung meron tayong 7,000 plus islands, sila ay may 11,000 o higit na, basta mas maraming mga isla na hiwa-hiwalay at yung populasyon mas kalat, mas mahirap po mag-monitor. Yun lang po, binibigyan ko ng din ito dahil nga maraming panloloko sa Facebook. Bakit ito? Pinost na natin. Hindi lang ako nagrereklamo sa Facebook. Alam ko naman yung laro nila There's no point in me complaining. Pero sila, talagang tinatarget tayo. Tinatarget ako. Isang dosenang beses na ako na-block siguro ng Facebook kung ano-anong sinusumbong ng mga dilawan at siguro ng mga amboys. Yung mga amboys, galit na galit din sa atin. Ayan po. Yeah. 6:30 na ba? Oo. Ngayon, may break tayo ngayong 6:30 kasi meron din tayong video hinanda tungkol sa US presidential debate. At kung mapanood po ninyo, makikita po ninyo at this time sa history ng US kung anong klaseng politika meron sila. Kung yung klaseng ganyang politika ay inyong gusto po para sa bayan natin. Kung saan dalawa nagdebate, ang presidente nila, si Trump, at yung humahamon, si Vice President Biden, at anong klaseng debate ang nangyari. At mamaya sa katapusan ng programa natin, papakita natin ang isang ulat naman mula sa Amerika din, nung reaksyon ng kanilang bayan, ang reaksyon ng publiko po sa Amerika. Okay, let's roll this video.
How you doing, man? I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make sure.
Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be surprised.
You pick
You'd be surprised.
the wrong guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, did you use the word smart? You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Vote now.
You're going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the
You wanna
question
put a lot
is
of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you
Who
shut
is
up,
on,
man?
Listen, who is on your list?
You folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
This is the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically,
That was
and you know that. That was
40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. And even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this
Hey, let me
person.
just say to you.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm willing
prepared to
do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists
Who
and
would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
for
wasn't dishonorably
cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made
son,
a fortune.
My son,
and he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he given tens of millions?
Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. What he had to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
But let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that.
$100 billion.
Trump, you
I'm
go first.
urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. But I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election,
them what?
I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital.
Okay, we're back. And so nakita po ninyo, no? We'll talk about it a little later. Mag-analyze po tayo niyan, before the end of the show. Kasi at the end of the show, papanood ko po sa inyo yung reaksyon ng mga taong bayan sa Amerika. Okay. Baka katulad ng reaksyon ko din. Okay. And so dito sa second half natin, magsimula po tayo dito sa arbitral ruling na after all is said and done, after the halabalo nitong mga dilawan na tuwa daw sila, nabanggit ni Presidente Duterte, Pero in our last discussion ata, nabanggit ko that is only 1 minute out of 22.5 minutes na speech ni Presidente Duterte sa UN General Assembly, yung virtual speech and virtual meeting ng mga heads of state doon. So ito ang update po dyan. Duterte government is still setting aside arbitral ruling, Palace says. That's September 24, 2020. And so malinaw po, hindi naman nagbago ang posisyon ni Presidente Duterte. Kung baga, sa totoo lang, sabihin natin sa kanila, itong mga dilawan na talong-talo, si Presidente Duterte nagbago na ng isip, and so wala pong katotohanan yun. And ibig sabihin po ni Presidente Duterte, nagawa na natin na gamit na natin yung award na yon bilang isang bargaining sa China, nag-uusap tayo. Nakuha natin malaking ganansya mula dyan. Ano yun? Yung 60-40 oil and gas joint venture na 60% para sa Pilipinas. Doon sa pinag-aagawan na Reed Bank o Recto Bank. Makukuha mo ba yan pag kalabanin mo at awayin mo lang ang China? Tulad ng Vietnam, walang nakukuha po ang Vietnam. Pero nakikipag-usap pa rin. Tayo, hindi na nagpa-hele-hele, nag-ORTE, nag-OA si Presidente Duterte. Nag-usap, nakuha niya ang mas malaking bahagi ng joint venture. Di ba? Yan ang utak. Yan ang pagmamahal sa bayan. Praktikal. Hindi po tulad ni Carpio, de Rosario, itong mga ito, nanggugulo lang para walang mangyari. At kung walang mangyari, magkakaroon ng maaaring revolusyon sa Pilipinas dahil hindi tayo susulong, mauubusan ng malampaya in 2 to 3 years time, wala na tayong sariling energy, dagdag sa mga suliranin ng taong bayan. Siguro matutuwa na yung CPP-NPA, baka makahanap sila ng butas at makasingit. Yan po ang intensyon ng mga Amerikano. Okay, so sabi na ni Presidente, setting aside, at tuloy po ang economic relations with China. And sa totoo lang, the latest news I got from somebody sa aking messenger, ang Asia lang ang magkakaroon ng dalawang bansa sa buong mundo na magkakaroon ng positive growth. China and Vietnam. At ang malaki po, top trading partner ng Vietnam, China rin. So, maging matalino tayo, makita natin yung buong katotohanan na ating malaking positibong karagdagan sa kaunlaran natin ang ating pakikipag-ugnay sa China. And so, let's move on. It's now 6:41 by my clock. Now, hindi ba itong mga nakaraang, hindi lang nakaraang mga linggo, kung ilang buwan na po, paulit itong sila Carpio at iba pa, sinasabi yung mga kontratistang Chino na dambuhalang mga construction companies, malalaki po sila, world class ang kanilang kakayahan sa financing, sa equipment, sa technology. Pagbawalan dahil pinagbawalan ng US. Wala ni isang bansa sa ASEAN ang pumapayag po at sumusunod sa Amerika sa mga ganyan. Ewan ko kung bakit pinipilit nila Del Rosario, Carpio, ng mga dilawan. Yung linya ng Amerika ay gawin po din dito ni Presidente Duterte. Malinaw na sinabi ni Presidente Duterte, hindi mangyayari yan. Papasok sila, papayagan ni Presidente Duterte at gagawin nila yung mga proyekto tulad ng Sangli Airport, which is the airport that is logical kasi nandito sa ating katimugan dito sa NCR. Hindi yung Bulacan Airport na nasa timog na nandoon na rin ang Clark Airport, and so on. Okay, now Malaysia nag-anunsyo din, nagsalita din. This is from the Star of Malaysia. Sabi ni ang ambassador of Malaysia to China, si what's his name? Anyway, hindi ko na naalagay yung pangalan niya. Ang nilagay ko lang yung kanyang quotation. Anyway, the headline, Malaysia will not follow US sanctions against 24 Chinese companies, says Ambassador. Sabi niya, our relationship with China is so deep and so wide that the South China Sea is only a very small component in this broader relationship. So we have always taken a broader view, mas malawak na pananaw, in a wider perspective, mas malawak na perspektibo on this issue, including the broader historical perspective. Yung kasaysayan, sabi niya, of our relations ng Malaysia at ng China, which go back thousands of years, libo-libong taon na. Said the diplomat. If we need to see his name, we can find it, pero hindi na po siguro importante at this time. Now, yan din po ang sinasabi ko dito sa ating mga kontra sa China. Tulad ni Johan Maglipon, ewan ko kung nabanggit ko na sa inyo in the last session natin, sa Viber group ni Renewable Energy. Sabi niya, gumagapang na ang China dito sa loob ng Pilipinas dahil may telco, DITO, etc. etc. Sabi ko, ano ka ba? 1,000 taon nang nandito ang China. Mula sa Kingdom of Butuan, si Raja Kiling, Pilipinong, wala pang Pilipinas of course no, pero siyempre taga dito sa mga isla natin, sa Butuan nga. Nagpadala na ng mission sa China at nakikipag-trading na sa China. Then si Sultan Paduka Batara ng Sultanate of Sulu, 1417 pa, bumiyahe na po sa China. Nagkasakit nga doon nung pauwi at nakalibing ngayon sa Tetso, Shandong province ng China. Yung dalawang anak niya iniwan para paalagaan ng puntod niya. May puntod na rin yung dalawang anak. At na-meet na natin, nakilala ko, nakakusap ko, nag-dinner kami nung mga apo, kung ilang henerasyon ng mga apo ni Sultan Paduka Batara. Bakit ngayon itong sila De Rosario, sila Carpio, aangal tungkol sa China, sa West Philippine Sea? Maliit na bagay nga yun At nakikipag-usap nga ang China hindi naman basta nananakop ng lugar. So, claims, laging may claims ang bawat bansa. At 7 bansa ang may claim po dito sa South China Sea. Hindi lang China. Ang China nga ang pinakamadali kausap. Okay. And so, from Ferry already dagdag niya dito sa diskusyon sa West Philippine Sea o South China Sea. EEZ is overlapping in South China Sea. Claimants done by the globalists led by VY, Vietnam ba yung VY? CIA, MI6, led by BY, to create chaos for the benefit of Obama's pivot to Asia. Exactly, that's correct, And then, China has been painted as the biggest threat to world peace, but let's compare the facts, sabi niya. The following is a list of countries bombed by USA thousands of miles away from its borders in the last half-century. Mahaba po ang distance from China to Korea, to Guatemala, Cuba, Belgian Congo, Vietnam, Cambodia, and so on. Haba ng listahan. Okay, let's get to the next issue. Malaysia na ba? And of course, a positive news from the Chinese Embassy. Pinost nila sa Facebook yung pagkikita ni Secretary Locsin at Ambassador Huang Xilian to celebrate China's National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival noong September 29. Okay, and it's now 6:47 sa orasan ko. I don't know sa inyo, but more or less we can be flexible by 5 minutes. Now, yung National Day ng China was September 29, and yung August Moon Festival ay October 1 sa kalendaryo po natin. Yun naman po sa lunar calendar ang Agosto. And marami po akong mooncake dito. Ewan ko kung sana mapapadalan ko kayong lahat. But I don't know how to bring it to everybody. And anyway, yung legend naman ng mooncake, maraming nagtatanong sa akin, paano pa nagsimula yung mooncake practice na yung ritual na yan? Unang-una, yung August Moon, isang mitolohiya sa China po yan, na may isang Diyos na let me see, hinanda ko yung storya yun lang sa dami po nitong let me see, mahanap ko ba? Hindi na muna siguro. Pero yung mooncake mismo, ang storya po dyan, yung mooncake ay hinanda bilang anunsyo sa mga revolusyonaryo laban sa isang dynasty. Sinuotan ng mensahe yung cake at petsa ng revolusyon. At ito ay naging practice na ever since that. Okay, and so let me just take a look at the next one. Ito po ay cartoon na gawa po kasama natin si Steven Pabalinas na cartoonist, editorial cartoonist po ng editorial cartoonist ng Manila Times. Ito ay after yung nagsalita po si Presidente Duterte publicly, na pag-usapan natin last week, na itong mga Western pharmaceuticals walang inisip kundi profit, tubo. At yung China naman nag-anunsyo si President Xi Jinping na yung kanilang vaccine pag ready na po at pinaka-advance po yung sa China. And napag-usapan na natin dito, naulat ko na ang Brazil gagamitin na po yan as early as November. Saan pa ba? Is it Ecuador or another country? Ready na gumamit po niyan. And global public good ang anunsyo ni Presidente Xi Jinping tungkol diyan. So hindi tutubuan yan, maaring at cost, or doon sa pinakamahirap ng mga bansa, baka libre po. Now, last time, inulat ko na for up to 2020, end of 2020, China can produce 300 million doses ng vaccine. Ang update po dyan ay aabot na ng 600 million doses ang magagawa nila by the end of 2020. So, tumataas ang pag-asa ng mga bansang mga kailangan po nito. And the first ones to be using it will be Brazil. At yung isa, naulat ko na rin sa inyo, hindi ko lang maalala. Okay, and now we go on to more international items, And alam po ninyo, itong nakaraang mga 5 taon na ata, 7 years na, nagkaroon ng kasunduan na ang Vatican at ang Chinese government under President Xi Jinping na papayagan na ng China na ang Vatican ang magnunumbre ng top bishop ng Chinese Catholic Church o the Catholic Church in China. So para sa Vatican, malaking tagumpay po yan sa kanilang diplomasya at pakikipag-usap. Ang problema ngayon, under Trump, si US State Secretary Pompeo nakikialam na at gustong sabihan ang Vatican na huwag ituloy na po yan, huwag ituloy yan, at kung ano-anong mga paninira sa China ang ginagawa. At nag-schedule ng bisita doon sa Santo Papa sa Vatican para makiusap at sabihan nga na tigilan na yung kanilang pakikipag-usap sa China. Ang ginawa ng Pope, ayon sa British news agency or organization, The Telegraph, ang headline niya po dito, Pope refuses to meet Pompeo as US seeks to turn Vatican against controversial deal with Chinese state. This is September 27 lang, 3 days ago. And so kita po natin kung anong kinalalagyan ngayon ng Estados Unidos. Unang-una yung sariling kanilang pananaw sa mundo na parang boss pa rin sila. Pangalawa po, hindi na po. Dahil hindi lang po ang Vatican, ang European Union, tinakwil na ang maraming mga overtures nitong si US State Secretary Pompeo. And makikita din natin na ang China ay mas acceptable na sa mas maraming mga bansa. Because the Vatican is also a state, bansa din po yan. And yan, pinapakita rin na marunong makipag-usap at makiusap din ang China. Ano? Makiusap na ayusin lang ninyo ang inonombre niyong top official ng Vatican sa China, o bishop ata ang tawag, o cardinal, I'm not sure, no? Okay naman sa kanila. And so yan, magandang development yan sa global stability natin, global peace, ano? And magandang leksyon sa Estados Unidos na tama na yung kanilang magarbong galaw sa mundo na ito. Tanggapin na lang nila ay more humble stature para sa kabutihan ng buong mundo. Dahil itong susunod na item na inuulat ko po sa inyo ay based on facts and statistics, no? Ito ay from Pew Research, no? The top survey group ng US. And ang headline nila itong ano lang, no? Itong nalagay kong petsa dito dapat pero hindi ko makita. So na-miss ko siguro yung petsa. Anyway, this is from Pew Research Center. U.S. image plummets internationally as most say country has handled coronavirus badly. Ano, ayan. And itong mga bansa na bumabagsak ang imahe ng Estados Unidos, hindi yung mga kalaban nila na China or Russia ano, or Iran, ano, kundi ang mga kaalyado po nila. Just 41% in the UK express a favorable opinion of the US. Hindi po majority na po, ano, minority na. The lowest percentage registered in any Pew Research Center survey in the United Kingdom. In France, only 31% see the US positively, matching the grim ratings from March 2003 at the height of the US-France tensions over the Iraq War. Germans give the US particularly low marks on the survey. 26% rate the US favorably. 26% lang po sa Frances. Similar to the 25% in the same March 2003 poll. Ayan po. And sana sa Pilipinas matuto po ang ibang mga kabansa po natin ano na itong malawak na larawan ng lagay ang estado ng Estados Unidos sa mundo natin po ano. Ayan po. Okay, and mukhang that is my last item dito sa ating folder ngayong gabi na naihanda. Now it's 5:56 or maybe to others it's 5:51 kasi yung pagitan ng yung 5 minutes more or less maraming nagkakaiba diyan no sa mga orasan. Let me just check. Ipapaliwanag ko muna. There are two videos no kamat no yung kay Ray Dalio nandiyan ba? Yung kay Ray Dalio muna ipapa-play po natin. Tapos yung concluding one, yung pangalawa, is yung survey naman ng American public tungkol sa unang presidential debate ni Biden versus Trump. You know? Yung kay Ray Dalio, papaliwanag ko muna, may request sa atin sa Messenger na ating talakayin yung libro nitong bilyonaryong hedge fund manager, financial manager, financial player and speculator, The Changing World, ano, yung kanyang bagong libro kung saan sinasabi niya ang USA pabagsak na po, ano, at China is rising. Amerikana po ito. It's a very short video, I think 2 minutes plus lang po, ano, and si Kevin ang nag-request po nito, so I will play this for his request, ano. And then doon sa ending po, pagkatapos noon ipapasok na ni Kamat yung US presidential survey nung mga reaksyon ng American public. At doon po makikita natin diskustado din ang mga Amerikano dito sa nangyari, nakita nilang walang katuturan na debate. Mainly because Trump
By everyone. Matter of fact,
hindi sumunod
even the
sa
people,
debate rules, Trump. At pinipikon si Biden, si Singit, at pinagsabihan pa ng moderator. Paulit-ulit pinagsabihan. Paano tayo magkakaroon ng malinaw ang Asia o ang China o ang Pilipinas ng malinaw na usapan sa kanyang klaseng liderato ng isang Western superpower. Sunod na the other messages here, kung may mga pumasok na po na karagdagang mga messages. Dito po si Saldi Oreo, good evening. Ka Mentong, sana maisabay natin yung Bataan Nuclear Power Plant sa subway station. Well, subaybayan po natin yung mga diskusyon sa nuclear power plant, pero yung subway station ay tuloy na po. Anong tingin niyo, Ka Mentong, sa pyrolysis plant that converts plastic waste to fuel? Baka yun na ang sagot ng mga plastic waste ng Pilipinas. Alam po ninyo, ako, I had more or less a project na pyrolysis sa Quezon City Hall noon na 1980s, 89 siguro, sometime there, 1990. At nagsusunog kami ng basura doon sa likod mismo ng Quezon City Hall na wala namang naamoy ang paligid. Pumasok ang politika, umalis na lang ako. But it only cost $1 million lang at that time, and it was successful. So kasi ang ginawa namin, house to house na community level garbage collection and disposal. Anyway, pyrolysis will work. Pero marami ding mga ganyan, incinerator, may mga environmentalist na hindi naman practical at scientific, na itong mga ito ay po pwede. Ginagawa ng Japan, ginagawa ng Singapore, mga incinerators, and pyrolysis is one of their technology. Pero marami pong sobrang magagaling sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino na ini-encourage naman ng mga politiko para meron lagi silang mga mapapag-usapan sa Kongreso na hindi naman natatapos. From Lawrence Robert Campos Alpin, sobrang dami general natin at veteran na general, ang budget doon lang napupunta. Buti medyo nakabili pa tayo ng corvettes, frigates, pero kulang po. Okay, and sinensor nila kasi ang Bible, kaya na umpisa ang COVID sa China, buwan lang lumabas ang COVID. Alam po ninyo, yung COVID ngayon, kung subaybayan po niyo yung mga balita at developments, yung COVID-19 natuklasan sa China noong Disyembre 2019. Later on, ngayon makikita niyo at mabibigay ko sa inyo yung reference na mga materials galing sa Espanya mismo na nasa Espanya na yung COVID-19 noong Abril 2019. Mga 9 months before na tuklasan sa China. Ang China lang po talaga ang nagsuri ng virus na yon dahil ang China maingat sa mga epidemya. At sa Frances, na-discover na nasa Frances na ng Disyembre o Nobyembre 2019. So walang kinalaman ng Biblia diyan. Bakit Christian countries ang tinatamaan ng mga Kansas virus, yung tinatawag na Spanish flu, and so on. No, wala pong kinalaman ng Biblia diyan. Let's be scientific. Anyway, from Jose Aguila, to have positive, meaningful global political and economic changes, long united must divide. Long divided must unite. Very good point. Asia has long been divided by the Western powers. Let us now unite. Aguhar Evelyn, nako po, ang Japan ay isang sunod-sunuran ng Amerika. Kaya mukhang delikado ang sitwasyon ng Japan kung sila ay susunod-sunuran sila ng Amerika. Well, ang Japan natuto po sa pagkatalo nila sa Second World War at hindi po maiwasan na yuko sila pagdating ng Amerikano. Pero ako, hindi ko alam kung basahin talaga ang kalooban ng Hapon, kung nasaan talaga ang kalooban po nila. From Pepe Malonzo, good evening, Ka Mentong, and from Carding Domingo, good evening, Ka Mentong. Sana nga magkaroon ng vaccine. Ano? At batay sa scientificong kaalaman ng mundo, malapit na po talaga yung vaccine. From James D. Lainio, good evening, Ka Mentong. Nagre-research ako about martial law. Lately, ang hirap ako makakuha ng credible sources. For the sake of staying objective, I study the arguments of both sides to have a balanced view. Regarding sa alleged human rights crimes na bintang solely kay Marcos, tingin ko unlikely na siya directly ang gumawa ng mga violations. And if alam niya na may mga pang-aabuso, may mga steps ba siyang ginawa para maitama? It's very unusual na walang interviews from people like Cesar Virata and Jaime Laya about their version of the events in martial law. What's your take on all of this? Thank you. Well, I don't know kung napanood mo yung interview kay Conrado Balueg, no? It was in 1999. I think that interview na pinalabas po natin dito, na sinabi niya mas maraming pinatay ang NPA kaysa sa AFP, mga sibilyan. Si Conrado Balueg, if you have no background, please research it. Siya po ay leader ng Cordillera People's Liberation Army at sumanib sila sa NPA para lumaban sa gobyerno. Pero after some time, bumalik sa gobyerno, si Conrado Balueg, at sabi niya, hindi, itong NPA walang ibang layunin, hindi kabutihan, hindi reforma, hindi pagbabago, kundi magsunggab ng poder. Ano kaya walang saysay na makipag-usap ng kapayapaan sa kanila dahil gagamitin lang nila ang mga negotiation para sa pagpapalakas ng pwersa nila habang may ceasefire at mga ganyan. Okay, and from Alfred Ang, China learned from the bitter history. One thing is certain, and that China is not going to let the US-led gangster disrespect their culture, homeland, or their islands again. From Avin Acuña Gulo, problema talaga ang plastic na basura, Ka Mentong. Sana ma-revive yung ikanyong pyrolysis plant kung wala namang toxic emissions yan. Well, wala po. Makokontrol talaga yung toxic emissions via maraming paraang scientifico po dyan. Okay, I think we can now turn to our two videos. Parehong may matutuhan. Yung isa, yung kay Ray Dalio, medyo English na medyo sophisticado, pero pagtsagaan lang ng konti, baka may mapulot po kayo dyan. And then mas interesting po yung survey ng reaksyon ng mga Amerikano doon sa Biden-Trump debate. At one more review nitong mga comments kung meron pang pumasok. From Gavin Elcano, alam naman natin lahat ng achievements si Marcos, pero meron ba siya na greatest failures si Marcos? Lawrence Halpin, may sumpa kasi pagbabawasan at dadagdagan ang salita ng Bible. Mga Nobyembre 29 ginawa yun. From Rain Cloud, magandang gabi po, Ka Mentong. Magandang gabi, Rain. And until Saturday, sama-sama tayo ulit. Maraming salamat. Let's roll the two videos for the benefit of our audience. And si Ernie Escolar, humabol. Good evening po, sir. Good evening, Ernie. I love you all because I love humanity. I love mankind. I love my children, my grandchildren, your grandchildren. We must take care of our world. We must fight for its survival and prosperity. Mabuhay and have a good day, good night, good evening.
By everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People under,
you got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd
honorably.
like to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't do a good job. With you,
go ahead. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just.
No. I'm Mr. President.
$3.5 million, Joe.
That is simply
Why did he deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. we want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's already...
My family lost a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
And that's such a...
Mr. President.
Every single one of them lost a fortune.
This is not about my family or his
us
family.
with
It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't
American
collect
people.
$3.5 million
He
for
doesn't...
nothing.
That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about
you
here.
All right,
Not about here.
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
He
I
stood
get it.
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is no.
threatened Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you don't
That
get rid of
is
the press.
You know what?
absolutely not
Stop.
You're
true.
on tape doing it.
You're going to
Not
have...
true.
Gentlemen,
Is-
I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but I
on
see it seems
tape.
to be, why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the
That's a
deal.
good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you...
By everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even
Mr.
the
President,
people who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
under-
Joe.
under
No,
oath.
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
Even
you.
the people under...
He got $3.5 million from
testified-
Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like
honorably.
to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't
well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say
You get
here's the
wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me. This.
Hey,
this
let me
person.
just...
No. I'm Mr. President. I'm
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply.
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's already...
My family lost a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
sir.
And that's such a...
Mr.
That's
President.
such a
Every
great...
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
by
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us
family.
with
It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't
American
collect
people.
$3.5 million
He
for
doesn't...
nothing.
That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about
you
here.
should
All right,
Not
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
That's
He
a good
stood
thing.
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is
threatened
no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion,
Sir,
if you don't
That
get rid of
is
the press.
You know what?
absolutely not
Well, you're
true.
on tape doing it.
You're going to
You're on
have...
tape.
True.
Gentlemen.
And the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker polls show how Americans are responding to the first presidential debate. CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto joins me now. Hi there, Anthony. Good to see you. So, according to the viewers that you have been in touch with, what do they think in terms of who won this first debate?
Well, let me show you this first big number that jumped out at all of us, Elaine. We asked about the tone of the debate, and look at this, 83% felt the tone was negative, okay? So that's what really came across. And then, to answer your question, who won, we followed that up, it looks very much like the vote, 48-41, Joe Biden, you know. And really what's happening here is that we knew that people were coming in having already made up their minds. We knew when we talked to these people in advance of the debate that they were watching to see how well their candidate did, almost in a rooting sense. So maybe not a surprise that then it breaks about the way the national vote does. But it's really that affect that struck me. I mean, look at this. How did the debate make you feel? And 69% said annoyed. Way more than said entertained. And look at down here, this number for informed, if ostensibly the debates are supposed to teach us about the candidates. Well, only 17% said that it did that.
Yeah, you know, I think it was John Dickerson who said during the network coverage that seemed high to him, 17%.
Right. I'm going to have to run some crosstabs and see who that is. Yeah.
Let's take a look at those numbers more closely. All right, so did the debate make watchers more likely to consider one candidate over the other, Anthony?
Well, let's take a look at how this moved things, or should I say, how it didn't move views of the candidates. Okay, candidate qualities for Donald Trump. Look at this. Pre-debate, that he cares about people like you, 46, and afterwards, 46, right? Didn't move much. Really no movement on whether people thought he was honest and trustworthy. Really no movement on whether people thought he had the stamina for the job. All things we asked about, waiting for movement. Sometimes in debates, even if it doesn't move vote, people change their opinions of the characteristics of the candidate. Not so much here, and I'll do the same thing for you with Joe Biden. Does he care about people like you? Well, 52% said yes coming in, 55, not much movement, and same deal on honest and trustworthy and stamina for the job. So all in all, very locked in, people not feeling like they got a lot out of it and not a lot of movement on views of the candidates. So 2 more. So we'll see what happens.
And, you know, very quickly, Anthony, before we let you go, some viewers might be wondering, how were you able to get these numbers so quickly following the debate? What's the process?
It's a great question. So we interview people in our polling and we ask them if they're planning to watch the debate. If they are, then we tell them, okay, we would like to give you a survey right after the debate, and we do that with a nationally representative sample of watchers so that it looks like all the people nationwide who are planning to watch the debate. And then we instantly contact them right after it's done, and they can do it electronically, they get sent an email, they get reminded to take it, and then we process that very quickly and then try and put it out as an instant reaction by 11 o'clock. It takes a big team of people, our partners at YouGov, all of whom work really hard on this to put it together.
All right. Well, annoyed. That's my takeaway from your poll tonight. Anthony Salvanto, it is never annoying to have you, though. Thank you so much, Anthony. Really appreciate it. And the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker polls show how Americans are responding to the first presidential debate. CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto joins me now. Hi there, Anthony. Good to see you. So, according to the viewers that you have been in touch with, what do they think in terms of who won this first debate?
Well, let me show you this first big number that jumped out at all of us, Elaine. We asked about the tone of the debate, and look at this, 83% felt the tone was negative, okay? So that's what really came across. And then, to answer your question, who won, we followed that up, it looks very much like the vote, 48-41, Joe Biden, you know. And really what's happening here is that we knew that people were coming in having already made up their minds. We knew when we talked to these people in advance of the debate that they were watching to see how well their candidate did, almost in a rooting sense. So maybe not a surprise that then it breaks about the way the national vote does. But it's really that affect that struck me. I mean, look at this. How did the debate make you feel? And 69% said annoyed. Way more than said entertained.